Kia ora, good evening. The Russian advance into Ukraine is pushing relentlessly westward. If ever there was an understanding that Russia would only attack military targets, that was dismissed by recent bombings. This is Cherniv in the north of Ukraine, where residential apartment blocks have been ripped apart. At least 33 people were killed. A key southern port city, Kherson, has fallen, and another port, Mariupol, is under siege. They are also getting closer to the capital, Kiev, and in doing so, are slowly encircling Ukraine. Fire has broken out at Europe's largest nuclear power plant. The area has come under intense shelling, and Ukrainian forces are fighting back from inside the power plant. Vladimir Putin continues to justify his invasion by saying we're at war with neo-Nazis and claims the invasion is going according to plan. More than 1 million people have now fled from Ukraine, and our Europe correspondent Lisette Raymer has made it into the West Ukrainian city of Lviv, a city that is now considered a gateway for refugees. But a warning, some of the pictures in her story are confronting.
Welcome to Lviv, where an evening under curfew was punctuated by sirens. Weapons are everywhere, and it's not just people hiding from Russian troops, but the city's statues too. Landmarks are covered to disorientate and confuse any unwelcome visitors. Still, this is the safest of havens for Ukrainians, by wartime standards at least.
Kiev in every hour was more dangerous than before.
Refugees flock to the train station here, their last stop before freedom across the border. And it's no wonder they continue to leave in record numbers. Putin, you should die, this man spits as he surveys the wreckage of his hometown. This small village near Kharkiv was decimated overnight by what locals say were 4 Russian airstrikes. The blasts so powerful they overturned cars and lives. The body of Victor lies in front of his home as firemen search for that of his wife Roxana, who is still buried under the ruins. And it's only getting scarier. Negotiators for Russia and Ukraine met for round 2 of peace talks today. It ended with very little peace. They'll need another round. But there was a promise. Safe corridors for evacuations will be introduced for civilians who find themselves in military clash zones and need to escape. And as you enter Ukraine, it's clear the million who have already fled are being joined by many more. The roadsides are decorated with desperation. And as you drive deeper into the country, you realise just how far they have come. We are now 35 kilometres from the border with Poland, and still the footsteps of the hundreds of thousands of refugees are entrenched in this grass. And look at all of the rubbish, everything from food packaging to water bottles to nappies to clothing. This was an exodus. The world they've walked away from is growing area by the day. Main highways are blocked by checkpoints, the side streets are as well. Armed civilians stand bravely ready to defend their villages. And while the Ukrainian defences are hard to ignore, it's their defiance that is impossible too. This man sings an old war song to the streets with lyrics of a father who sacrificed his life for Ukraine. Just 7 days since the start of this war, and while so much else is crumbling, the resolve of Ukrainians is only growing stronger as they continue to fight for their flag.
Lisette joins us live now from Ukraine. And Lisette, are we any closer to getting some sort of ceasefire in this conflict?
Well, the short and distressing answer is no. Both sides have written down a list of non-negotiables, and a consensus has again failed to be met. Russia continues to insist that any sort of peace agreement involves the demilitarisation of Ukraine. The only thing really we can take away from the second round of peace talks is that there will be a third. And now, with a nuclear power site, the scene of military conflict, that third round of talks and ultimately peace cannot come soon enough. President Zelensky Zelensky continues to beg the West for more assistance. Today he told them, if you cannot close our skies, then at least give me more planes. And then this from the Ukrainian president. The end of the world has arrived, he warned. And here in Ukraine, it certainly does feel like that. Even here in Lviv, at a place of relative safety, the sirens wail throughout the evening. The curfew has just ended, and still there is no one around town. And describing this as the end of the world just doesn't seem as much of an exaggeration as you would hope.
Thank you very much. That is Lisette Raymer, our Europe correspondent in Ukraine.